So more truth is coming out, showing you where everything is going. I don't know how much more clear they can put it. How much room for interpretation is there when they say something like this? It's from ccn.com, right? It's about Swift. This is from their blog post, directly from their blog post. This sounds pretty direct to me. And what does it say? It says in a September 11th blog post, Swift, the firm, revealed its intention to give partner banks access to digital tokenized solutions. They're giving access to that, right? So it's the same thing FedNow did. What did FedNow do? They brought in a bunch of companies. They didn't really do everything themselves. They had a basic core structure. They brought in a bunch of companies and say, hey, can you do this for us? They even had blockchain companies that were going to provide services for FedNow. People look at these things like FedNow and Swift as one system, and they're not. What they're building right now is not. It's a conglomeration. Swift is doing the same thing, like they started working with Chainlink. Who are the other companies they said they were going to work with? They reiterate that here, that they're going to be working with other DLT companies, multiples. Who are they? Who are these multiples of companies? Who are they? Nobody knows. These people that are talking against it, like, well, Swift, even though Swift itself says it's going to work with more DLT or blockchain companies, they're already working with Chainlink. You have others coming that will come out and say, that's not going to happen. You don't even work for Swift. How would you know? Your opinion is as good as ours. None of us work for Swift. So what we have to go by, just like those other people have to go by, is what they actually said. And then it continues on here. This is why I said that. Listen to this. It says, give partner banks access to digital tokenized solutions, including payment gateways and interoperability with both private and public blockchain networks. That's coming right from them. With private and public blockchain networks. Who's at the forefront? Why would they not work with the companies that are at the forefront to have global dominance, true global reach? Swift has been hobbled for a long time. What Swift used to be, people are just keep holding on to this memory of what was. It reminded me of the, no disrespect, but the people that love records and stuff like that from the 70s and Betamax, and they're still holding on to that. This was the best. Yeah, but we have MP3s now. And digital streaming services now. This is the new. We have to recognize what's dominant today is what I'm saying. And Swift is not dominant. The direction they're heading in is not dominance. They're losing their grip on the world every single day, every single time. Like, for example, you hear about the BRICS nations. How many nations attended that meeting that was recent? How many? Come on, tell me. How many? That shows you, and every single time there's more and more nations joining BRICS nations. Why? Because they don't want to be bullied by Swift systems. So then Swift, if they want to survive, this is why they're doing this now, trying to advance now with DLT and blockchain with their 518 institutions that are on Swift network, right? It says in 22 countries. Why? Because if they don't, those banks, those institutions, those countries will be cut off and have a problem. They will not be able to connect to the rest of the world, which are against Western systems. The West dominance, as people know it, is over. They have to accept it. I mean, you don't have to. It doesn't matter. It's reality. Because of all the domination and bullying, how long do you think you can give everybody a wedgie before everybody stands up together and says, listen, maybe individually we can't take this bully, but together we can? That's what's happening right now. That's what's happening right now. And Swift is a part of it. They allowed the weaponization of the dollar. So now all these other countries in the world are cutting them off. They're looking for a way to cut them off. Like if it hasn't happened now, it's going to happen. They're looking at systems to replace Swift. All types of systems, from Ripple to a conglomeration of different DLTs, like what the BIS and Hong Kong Monetary Authority is working with, even though the Hong Kong Monetary Authority also has access to the Ripple CBDC system. Then you have other stuff like Everynet, Velo. Somebody was talking to me about Velo in the members only section. And I'm like, yeah, I know about Velo from the Stellar days, because Mike Kennedy went from Intrastellar over there at Stellar to Velo. Velo is on Stellar. Everynet, that's a system that they cooked up in South Asia regions to replace Swift. LightNet, EveryNet, Velo. They have a partnership, a conglomeration over there, and they've kept quiet. Shh, they kept quiet. But those people that are on those teams are some of the most hardworking people. They're serious business. But the point is, they've been cooking up system to replace Swift. That's just one example. In Africa, all over Africa, you have Hedera there, you have Cardano there, you have Stellar there, you have Algorand in there via Coinbanks. That's a company that builds on Algorand. And I have to clarify that because some people always say, well, what's Coinbanks? Coinbanks is one of the main pushers of Algorand technologies over there. Then you have MTech over there, pushing Hedera infrastructures over there. I mean, you have Zenfin in the Middle East. You have Ripple in the Middle East. You have Hedera in the Middle East. Zenfin XDC is over there in the Middle East as well, the MENA region. So look at all these regions. Do I have to go into Latin America? Do I have to really go there? And how dominant DLT is there? You see what's going on with Brazil. Brazil is moving at such a breakneck pace that they're about to like revise some things with their CBDC already. They said, we're not going to wait. We're going to, clean things up right now with this CBDC. Did you see that article came out like 2-3 days ago? So all of these places are working on systems to replace the SWIFT system so they can continue to move forward and survive. Not only survive, but they want to make a ton of capital at the same time the world is changing. The world is changing. So private and public blockchain networks, who? Which ones? You mean to tell me that really Ripple would not even be in consideration when they have all this dominance around the world? You mean to tell me Quant, which is working with the Bank of England, dominant everywhere? You mean to tell me they're not in consideration? What people are not understanding with the new financial system, old systems that used to be isolated and dominant like SWIFT and the BIS systems and all these other things, no matter which system it is, they're going to connect to a multitude. They will come to a point where they can connect to anything to get the job done. Any reputable company will be able. That's going to be true interoperability. You understand what I'm saying? Whether I'm eloquent or not, I believe I'm conveying it to you. They will connect to any. They will have the capability of connecting to any legitimate DLT system around the world, and that will be the new system. You will not know one from the next. They don't care. Only the regular people care, because the regular people are still deeply ingrained in tribalism. I want only Bitcoin. I want only PlayStation. I want only Xbox. Only LeBron is the greatest. Only Jordan is the greatest. Only regular people do that. The people at the top do not care about that. They do not care. As long as that money comes in, as long as that value comes in, as long as they have power, they do not care how it comes. As long as the job gets done. The way that they think, they'll take a Jordan, they'll take a LeBron, they'll take a Tracy McGrady, they'll take a Steph Curry. They don't care. As long as you get the job done. That's how they think. We have to start separating these mentalities. If you really want to understand how the world works. I've seen this before. Man, I used to be in certain industries, and I'm going to tell you right now, those people at the top, they used to be in certain, I used to be in certain sports, involved in certain sports things, right? Now, the people at the top, and I knew many of them, they didn't care which boxer was bringing in the money. They didn't care. I'm telling you. While the regular people are like, this boxer's the best, this boxer's the best. I only want to see them. I want to see them. The people at the top looking at the numbers like, let's throw all of them on a card. Let's throw a couple of cards this year. And they're making money off of everybody. They have no favorites. The people think like, well, we saw this person more, so that means they must be a favorite with the company. No. As soon as they don't make money anymore, they'll go to the back, but they're still going to be shown. They're still going to make some money somewhere for this. The people at the top, they're making money off of everything and everybody. They don't care. As long as you get the job done, that's what they care about. Get the job done. You can see that. That mentality pervades a lot of people who run things, for lack of a better word. You even look at like companies like Amazon. They hire everybody. Why? As long as you get this job done, they don't care. Why be so strict? If they're more strict with their requirements for who is hired, that cuts them out of the possibility of making the maximum amount of capital. They don't care. They're hire everybody, because so that the company, the people at the top, can maximize how much value they're bringing in. They don't care who you are, long as you get the job done. So this is what's going on right now. They don't look at it as Swift is going to win, or Stellar is going to win, Ripple is going to win, or whatever other legacy system entity, the Fed now is going to. They don't care. they're going to try to connect to everything and work with anybody that they can. So the possibility is there. It does exist for Swift and a lot of the different top companies in DLT, whether it's Ripple or Quant, to work together. Flare. Yeah, Flare does something different than Chainlink. Sure, it's still about interoperability, but it's more about they're different. That's all I'm gonna say. Look into it yourself. But I'm just saying they can work with anyone they want unless a representative from Swift actually comes out, which they're not gonna do that because they're smart business people. Unless a representative from Swift comes out and says, hey, we're not going to do this. The people that don't work for Swift can't tell you what Swift is going to do. They can read exactly what we're reading right now. That's it. And your interpretation of this information, as well as mine, is just as good as theirs. You get what I'm saying? Now, let's go here. So there's that. Swift is talking about opening up gateways and interoperability for their banks to work with both private and public blockchain networks. Doesn't get more direct than that, folks. That's huge information, because that means the value. It's not about what Swift is bringing to the table. It's not about that. I think that time is long past for that to be significant, in my humble opinion. Why do I say that? Once again, they don't have the same global domination, global reach. We do have it, but it's about the flow. Now, what's important, in my humble opinion, is the flow. I think that the flow globally in the future, if everything continues to go the way that it is, the flow will be way better. The money's going to be bigger. DLT is going to be bigger. Blockchain is going to be bigger. I think that this is a significant step for flow, the flow of value, but also DLT going mainstream. We're getting one step closer to that moment where the mainstream media, which is 100% controlled by the companies, will say, hey, listen, all you viewers, and they control a lot of minds. They do. Hey, everybody, DLT is good. Blockchain is good. And they unleash their masses. That will also be significant. Sorry, I had a little air in my chest. That's why the little rare pause is like, I'm trying not to, you know how air is released in two ways. So it wasn't the bad way. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I paused. But yeah, it's significant in a few ways across the board. Any type of regulatory hurdle that remains now, which is very few, will be removed. It looks like we're getting closer to that. The interoperability, true interoperability, where everything flows one into the other, we're getting closer to that. Of course, like Christopher Waller of the Fed told everybody, it's going to take time. And what did he praise? Once again, he praised the private sector. The private sector. Now, I'm talking about the true private sector. Now, you're looking at certain companies, when the companies start congealing with the governments, how private really is that? I mean, you have the public government, and then you have the companies, and they're pretty much the same. The companies are putting all the money into the politicians' pockets. The politicians are carrying out the orders for the public, allegedly for the public, but really they're impressing upon the public the will of the companies. Is that really private? No, I'm talking about the true private sector that is independent. They work for themselves. They're neutral. They have true global reach, and they have it because of their neutral standing. That's the true private sector. So now we have another article here that is XRP related, and it is titled XRP's price soars 10% amid Gensler probe. So let's find out what's going on here. It says Grayscale Investments. They also talk about Grayscale here. So let's cover that also. Why not? Grayscale Investments has unveiled and launched the Grayscale XRP Trust today that led to the XRP price rocketing. I don't know what happened with XRP today. I don't. But if it went up, good. It says this new trust allows investors to access XRP, digital token used by the XRP ledger, a decentralized peer-to-peer network designed to enable international financial transactions. It says crypto asset management firm Grayscale Investments announced the launch of the Grayscale XRP Trust, which contributed to a nearly 10% increase in XRP price. Well, that's very good. That's very good. It says here, I want to get past the Grayscale stuff. I don't care right now. Like, what I care about is hearing the other things they were supposed to talk about here. Grayscale's XRP trust validates utility and spurs market growth. All right. XRP facilitates quick and efficient cross-border financial transactions that we know. The market response has been undeniably positive, with XRP price witnessing a significant uptick following the trust launch. Despite a year-on-year decrease, the continued interest and climbing price post-launch suggest a robust confidence among investors. Doing the videos definitely helps me to equalize and to reach homeostasis, for lack of, remember that word homeostasis, where you're balancing of things, right? I think it's mostly a balancing of things within a biological structure, mostly, I believe, but there may be more definitions. But I remember that word. I used to like that word. I used to like everything that had to do with biology and in the chemistry. Those are very interesting to learn how things function. But here's the more interesting part is if you go deep enough into biology and you go deep enough into chemistry, now you're starting to look at things like atoms and subatomic particles. There's an interesting truth that it brings you to, because once you start looking at atoms and subatomic particles, right, then it brings the question of how are these things organizing? You're looking at some of these experiments. I'm telling you, you're looking at some of these experiments, and then you're seeing that some of these things are able to organize themselves at what should be a purely energy level, and it just doesn't make any sense. And then you're looking at you're reading what scientists are saying, that there must be something organizing these things. And then you go into neuroscience. It will lead you to neuroscience. Well, quantum science and neuroscience are saying the same thing. I'm telling you, some of the quantum experiments and what neuroscience is saying leads you to the same conclusion. This article is titled, once again, Experts predict Solana price if Bitcoin reaches $150,000 to $175,000. Seasoned crypto trader, the House of Crypto, has made an ambitious prediction. All right, well, what's the prediction? Drop the prediction on me. The analyst predicted that Bitcoin would surpass its all-time high and trade at $175,000 by August 2025. I think that's a reasonable, for that time frame, with what could possibly happen. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. A reasonable guess prediction. Yeah. A price surge of this nature could see Bitcoin grow over 300%. Definitely is possible. Sure. From its current market price, potentially reaching a market cap of $3.4 trillion. By that time, I already would have sold my Bitcoin. That's just me. That does not mean it's not going higher, because it probably will. I'm comfortable. When I set my mind on something, I'm comfortable and I can live with what I'm going to do. I can live with it. I don't have any regrets. It says, with a dominance of 57%, Bitcoin, a market catalyst that influences the trajectory of most other assets. Consequently, the House of Crypto speculates that Bitcoin's run to $175,000 would push Solana to $920 by August next year. Yeah, I mean, okay, everything this individual is saying, I think, is reasonable. It's not a guarantee, but yeah, sure. I could see that happening. And Solana is super bullish just on its own. No Bitcoin bull run. For the future, Solana is very bullish. A little Bitcoin news. So this article here is titled Coinbase's version of wrapped Bitcoin, CBBTC, goes live. The token will initially be offered on Ethereum and Coinbase's base networks, with plans to expand to more blockchains in the coming months. It's supported by various DeFi services for trading, lending as collateral, with automatic conversion features for Coinbase users transferring Bitcoin to or from these networks. This launch follows Coinbase's hint at entering the wrapped Bitcoin market and challenging the existing leader BitGo's WBTC, with plans to foster a significant Bitcoin economy on Base. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with this. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.